Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Ethan and Jenna Show. I'm your host, Ethan Micheal, and alongside me is none other than Jenna Belk. How's it going,
Hello.
Jenna?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm very, very tired today, but I'm
Alongside
trying to
me,
get used to
none
that.
other than
That will be
Sorry.
something that's not going to change.
Yeah, I haven't slept much either this weekend. I'm trying to enjoy my weekends a little bit more while still being, socially distanced and responsible.
That's hard.
It is. And at times it's like, dude, I just want to get out of this house. I want to go on a stage and I just want to sing karaoke so bad, but I can't.
It'll just make it that much better once we can do that again.
Dude, yeah. So real quick, I am going, for those that don't know, there will not be an episode of the Ethan and Jenna Show next Sunday because I will be in Arizona. Now, I was like all excited. I posted about it. And then I got messages from some of my like more extreme liberal friends, and they're like, "What's wrong with you? How dare you do this?" And like ripping me apart. Like, I wanted to be like, dude, shut up. Like, back off. Like, and I explained why I'm doing it. Like, I had said this is like the worst time of the year for my mental health because of everything that's happened. I just like, and additionally, this is my first year without my partner during the holidays that I've been with for the same time, like for over 10 years. So I just don't want to be around here. So I'm like, you know what? For my own mental health, I need to get out of here. But for some of my left-leaning friends, that's not good enough. They want you genuinely just completely locked away doing absolutely nothing all the time.
No, we all need vacations. We all need time to ourselves.
We do. So today we will be talking about mental health and trauma. And if you would like to join the conversation, call the number at the bottom of the screen, 708-554-7836. Or we actually have a new feature. There is a link in the description of the YouTube video. If you click that link, like if you don't have a phone, for example, you can call us via the web. So each and every week we continue to try and make every improvement we can to make this show better and more accessible to you. And Jenna, you've got a full you're fully booked today. You got this and then AXP.
Yep. Do AXP usually once a month, and this week is going to be me and Anthony Magnabosco, actually. So it'll be a little bit slower pace.
That's such a great combination. I'm totally looking forward to that, Jenna.
Oh, I'm glad.
A great show.
He's a good partner. I've noticed that I vibe with people, I mesh kind of according to how the person that I'm with is going. And I love the way that I am around him because of how the patience just rubs off on you. It's awesome.
He's so calm. Him and Dan are great, man. There is so much I can learn from them and from how they talk to people. They're great listeners and very smart as well.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, hi everyone in the comments. Like, hi, EA. Is that Shayo Chaotic Kitten? Yeah, Chaotic Kitten, Fran Nelson, best name ever. Tony Plaza and Steven. All of you are awesome. All right, so should we jump into trauma? Because trauma sucks.
Let's go. So, yes, you're going to start off by naming symptoms, right?
Well, no. So first of all, there are 3 different types of trauma. There's acute, chronic, and complex. Acute is from a single event. Chronic is from like repeated, like for example, like child abuse, bullying, domestic violence, and then complex is the result of exposure to multiple traumatic events.
That's interesting. I haven't heard that.
Yeah, it's the more I evaluate like my actions, my thought processes, how I feel, the more I've come to realize how much it wouldn't be unsettled, how much trauma I have that I actually have not fully dealt with. But that's the great thing about this show is we can learn. It's mental health, so we can learn to deal with these problems.
Well, the crazy thing is that somebody can go through an event that you might think must be traumatic. Like I could go through an event that you'd be like, oh my God, that must be so traumatic for you. And you, just by witnessing me going through it, can be actually more traumatized, just depending on what your experience of it is. Because
Really?
for example, like using like something like porn, the person going through an experience in a porn video isn't being traumatized, but somebody witnessing somebody being traumatized, like fake traumatized in a porn or something, could be traumatized by witnessing it, because you get really distressed and worked up over what you witness. Just
That
to
makes
give
sense.
an example of how that can happen. But yeah, there's so many different kinds, there's so many different ways, and everybody's different. So you could also be like really, let's try to not use the word tough, because you might think somebody's tough in one area, like say sports or something, and then they go do something else. They drive by a car accident and they see something that traumatizes them. It doesn't mean that they're not tough. It's just, you just never know what's going to hit you.
It has, and we should also stop telling people to just tough it out too.
Mm-hmm.
We all deal with trauma and incidents in our own ways. And speaking of car accidents, last night I am driving home, and I hear a really, really loud noise. Like I didn't know what it was. I keep driving, and all of a sudden, like I have to like immediately come to a halting stop. This is like 2 a.m. The 55 overpass, a truck, a semi truck just completely flipped and was like knocked not part of the bridge down, but part of the sign from the bridge down, and was flipped, blocking the entirety of the expressway.
This is last night?
This is last night. So like there's no way around. So I go to get out of my car and I go to proceed to the truck, but a cop coincidentally was already on the scene. He's like, just get back in your car, stay away. I'm like, okay. So I go back in my car. Ironically, we're probably going to have a larger toilet paper shortage now, because it was a toilet paper truck. There was toilet paper everywhere. Yes. Fortunately, the guy was okay. They had to use the jaws of life to get him out of the vehicle, because it was just tipped, and like the one side was smashed and the other side was like pressed in. But fortunately, they were.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Yeah. So, interesting night. But one thing I did want to talk about regarding trauma is bonding through traumatic events. And the reason I want to talk about this is because so I have been, over the past year, I started dipping my feet and dating again, after being with the same partner for so long. So, however, I keep running into situations where people are like, "Oh, you're close with your ex, huh? Okay." And that appears to be a red flag to most. And they just assume that you're going to like get back together because you're so close with your former partner. And it's like, what people don't understand is we both had a shared traumatic experience which bonded us on a very different level, but not in a way where we want to be together or want to be partners, but that we just have this friendship that isn't anything like anything else I've ever experienced. And it's so hard to explain that to people. Like, they just don't understand, but trauma can really bond you in some very different ways.
Definitely. Yeah. And that just depends on, again, on the people and how you each interpret whatever it is that happened.
Yeah. All right. We have 2 callers. Do you want to jump right into it?
Let's go.
All right. Our first caller is just. Oh, yes. Sorry.
Real quick, just because we haven't said yet, and I know that we're usually really, really good about saying this. We are not experts. We are not professionals on this topic. We are people who are fascinated by tough conversations, and this happens to be a topic that I have been interested by and have learned a lot about. And so we have done some Googling and research on our own, but please verify anything that you hear.
Yeah, because we really are just 2 average shows talking about this. And, mental health is important to me. And, we're trying to shine a light and spread awareness.
Yeah.
Once again, everyone, trigger warning. We do not have a screener. We just have an automated screener. So anything can get said. All right. Justin, you are on with Ethan and Jenna. How are you?
I'm good. How are you guys?
Doing well. Thank you.
Hey, Justin.
What do you got for us?
What's up, Jenna?
It's good to talk to you.
Yeah, well, I just wanted to call in because you guys brought up a few key points with something that, hits big in my life. And that's one, the prior military. So I have post-traumatic stress disorder from multiple different events. And to tag along with that, the mindset that I had for such a long time that I'm a man and I just need to suck it up and get over,
Right.
the issues that I was having. So I figured if you guys wanted to, we could talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
How have you learned
So,
to cope? Oh, sorry. Please go ahead.
No, you're good. You're good. What's your question?
How have you learned to cope with your trauma, or what coping mechanisms do you use?
So I think my biggest coping mechanism that I have is my wife. Because this post-traumatic stress disorder that I have is due from spending time overseas in Afghanistan. It was a bad time. A lot of stuff happened. She doesn't even know half of what happened. I just don't really talk about the gritty details, but it's affected our life. It's affected our home life. It's affected our, ability to go out and have fun and do fun things. Like, for example, going to festivals, like big crowds. I always have this, I don't know if you could call it superstitious thought that somebody's just walking behind me ready to stab me with a knife. Or if I'm in a restaurant, we have to pick the back booth and I have to be in a corner to where I can see the rest of the restaurant. And if we don't have the ability to do that, I am just sitting there uneasy, supposed to be enjoying my family and enjoying my time, but I just can't because I think that something's about to happen. And it definitely it weighs heavy on our family time and going to festivals, going to conventions, things like that, just big groups of people, big noises, and not being able to visualize the entire room. It's stuff that people normally they take for granted. They don't think about it. And because of what I've been through, it's created this issue within how we conduct our daily lives.
First of all, Justin, I am sorry that you have to deal with that, and I also want to thank you for your military service. And while I can't, relate to what you've been through with that, right when you said like keeping your back in the booth, you hit me because I don't know what caused it for me, but I have the same problem. When I go on a date, whether I'm with anybody, with a friend, I always have to keep my back against the wall. Anytime I've told people that, they're like, were you in the military? I'm like, no. And they're like, oh, were you running from the mob or something? I'm like, no. I just I think it came from the bar industry because there was constantly like fights breaking out. So to me, I always have to be like on edge and ready to go in case something happens. And I also like if someone comes up from behind me and like grabs my shoulder quickly, I like instantly like have like a physical, like I don't want to say violent, but I have like an angry reaction for a split second. Does that happen to you as well?
Yeah. Actually, I was at a car wash the other day. I do air conditioning and heating. And I was at a car wash replacing a blower motor on one of their heaters. And I guess one of their guys that normally like press buttons and get the car started in the automated car wash came running past me. And I about just knee-jerk reaction about just punched him in the face because it was a defense mechanism.
Right.
I know exactly what you're talking about. It comes out of they come out of nowhere, and then my knee-jerk reaction also comes out of nowhere. And I feel like I need to defend myself because somebody's rushing up behind me.
Right.
And once again, I think that they're coming to stab me in the back or something. I totally understand.
Yeah, it's so scary and people don't understand it. Like, and one of the things like I dealt with in the bar is drunk women would have a habit of like running up and smacking me on the ass when I'm like in the middle of DJing. And I can't tell you how like infuriating that is to just, you're like in the zone, you're focused on something, and then all of a sudden you just get this wham. It's like, what? Why would you do that to somebody? It's instant friggin' anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
That's sexual assault.
I totally understand. What's up, Jenna?
Well, I'm just wondering, you say that y'all have to avoid festivals, and I can understand things like that because of the crowds and just having to be aware of so many things. I wonder, and again, not professional, but I wonder if you've had any experience with any kind of like exposure therapy.
Honestly, I've had no therapy whatsoever. Well, no, I shouldn't say no therapy. I did see a therapist once I got out of the military. It was almost mandatory for somebody who was in service and went overseas. So I spoke with somebody a few times about it, but typically at first it pulls into the second point you guys brought up, was that I was like, I'm a man. I just need to get over this. I need to be self-aware and not let this affect my entire life. And eventually, after a certain period of time, it just wasn't working. Like, this psychological issue that I'm having overplayed my own ability to control my own psyche. So that's why I said I found my wife to be a very strong helper when it came to these issues, because she let me know it was okay. It was okay to cry.
Right.
It was okay to get upset. It was okay to express my feelings rather than taking constant traumatic events during the day that typically people don't experience, and bottling it up and actually release it and tell her about it and talk about it. And even though in the moment you're like, I don't want to talk about this, like, it's already affected me enough. I don't want to have a conversation about it. But it actually does help. It actually brings out the ability to try to focus on better things. And my wife has definitely been there to take I guess you could say, the masculinity complex out of me, to be able to let me feel and to be able to let me release all this anger. And I could say I'm scared a lot of the times for no actual reason. It's just my own brain telling me that something's about to go wrong.
So now, if I'm understanding everything that I've learned about this correctly, what trauma is when your body overrides conscious thought and it goes directly to subconscious thinking. Like, for example, your heart beating, that's not something that you think and control. It is when your subconscious takes over to control you because your life is in danger. At least that's the impression that you've gotten.
Yeah.
Or you're about to experience some serious pain or something. It's like serious stuff. So from my impression and from my experience with exposure therapy type stuff is that, especially that this is why it's so helpful to have like a steady partner of some sort, at like a wife or a husband or something, is because if you can possibly be exposed to whatever it is that's triggering you, whatever it is that's reminding you of what it is that traumatized you. And then you can also have somebody like your wife there with you to help ground you and keep you in the moment and be like, okay, this reminds me of that experience that was horrible, but she reminds me that I'm here and I'm actually safe. If you do that enough times to where you actually expose yourself to being triggered with a person or in an environment to where you are safe and you're capable of reminding yourself of that and not actually traumatizing yourself further. If you do this is what professionals are for, but this is what they do, is they re-expose you to teach your subconscious, hey, guess what? You're actually not in danger anymore. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and that's exactly what happens too. My wife definitely she knows a lot about psychology and sociology, So she knows kind of how the brain works and why people think what they do.
Mm-hmm.
I've told her many times that she needs to get into criminology and become part of the behavioral analysis unit with the FBI. But
That sounds fun.
It's definitely a skill of hers, and she definitely helps me out on a daily basis when it comes to these problems. Like, when I'm on,
Good.
when I'm on my YouTube channel, you guys have both been on there before. It's all fine and dandy, and there are times to where I do get anxiety because I have this feeling that maybe somebody that I had an encounter with overseas or something would catch it and be able to figure out where I live and then come and hurt me and my family. But my wife brings out the good points, and she definitely, exactly what you said, Jenna. She grounds me in the moment to where I can realize that, hey, this is my brain, playing tricks on me. I'm safe. My family's safe. We're good to go.
Right.
I have a question, EA. And well, first of all, dude, that is really good that your wife is so supportive of this and helpful. It's important to have a partner that can do that for you. Would you say activism in any way negatively impacts your mental health, in the sense that, like, what I've noticed, the longer it appears people have been atheist YouTubers, they tend to get more defensive and more like ready to go. Does that happen to you? Does it impact your PTSD in any way from constantly having to like defend your belief?
Well, I here's my best way to answer this question. So it's the empathetic atheist show that I do, and
you're very empathetic
for that.
Yes.
Yes. So to be able to have conversations with people without having that giant defense mechanism there, to be able to just have a good conversation. Now, there are times to where I do have guests on that are theists or Christians, and they say things that, I just want to turn into R and Raw and just rip their argument apart, without any remorse or any empathy at all. And I think that does build up. And I have a group of friends that I speak with outside of the show to where it's a little bit more engaging on an aggressive level, not to the point where we're throwing ad hominems and calling people names. Because it doesn't matter what situation you're in. That's not useful to the conversation. But right. I do have groups of friends to where things do get more aggressive and things, and I think that's somewhat of a release. And they know this, and they know that I love them, and they know, that that I'm there for them, and that I would love to keep having conversations with them, and with me not calling them names and insulting them, just being a little bit more aggressive with them than I normally am on the show. Sometimes I let some questions on the show or some comments made on the show, I let them slide, just because, I know that it's going to get possibly into a dumpster fire of some sort. Right. And, that's not the point of the show. So I do find a release outside of the show with a certain group of friends that understand exactly what that means.
Okay. Well, that's good. I find my brother will actually get like the brunt end of my, well, not that he will, like, I'll vent to him. I'll be like, this damn person called in, they were saying this, it made no sense. And I'll be like freaking out on him. And he's like, you didn't say that to them, did you? I'm like, no, I'm just venting right now because I'm annoyed. But sometimes you have to get that out, that frustration. But it's better not to get it out on the person you're talking to.
Yeah. And I think that also comes with practice, kind of like exposure therapy would, just like, I think as much as some people say that Matt's lost his temper over the years, I think that he's doing a remarkable job at keeping his cool, considering how many conversations he has had,
right,
like what we hear every week. I mean, I do it once a month, and I'm having trouble, and I've been doing it a year and a half. He's been doing it for almost 20. And so I think that the reason that he is able to stay so calm is because of practice. It practice exposing yourself to those conversations that get your blood pressure going.
Right.
but also reminding yourself that there's no reason to get worked up, and slowing yourself down and removing yourself if you have to get your blood pressure down, because at that point you're operating on fight or flight. You're not using your logical thinking part of your brain anymore. You're trauma responsive. So if you can practice,
and that's also something good for any other YouTuber out there that has conversations with people that have different views, or you get into arguments or debates or things like that, is that you just I do 7 shows a week. And
Wait,
that's
you
a
do?
lot of shows. Yeah, I will. Yeah, I do a interview and an after party every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. And then on that Saturday, before the interview and after party, I do a Bible study to where I have Jews, Mormons, Christians, Richard Mattson, whatever he is, and multiple other people on. So it's 7 shows where there's people that have different views than I do. And a lot of the times it's great and peaceful and whatnot, but a lot of times, my mental health can start to get affected by doing this many shows. And I actually just recently brought it down to just Tuesdays and Saturdays instead of Thursdays. So for anybody that's like, I started my show up in the middle of the pandemic. So I wasn't working at the time and I didn't have anything else to do with my day. And now I'm back at work and still doing 7 shows a week. And I can see that it starts to play with my mental health. So just a reminder to anybody that's doing a YouTube show to where they have the same type of environment, just do exactly like Jenna said, expose yourself to it slightly. I think Jenna's doing a great job. She does 1 show a month, and that gives her the ability to get exposed to it. And if she so chooses to do more, or if she chooses to walk away from it, either way, she's in a perfect spot to where she can judge, what her mental state is due to having these types of programs.
Right. That's true.
Yeah.
Well, EA, we definitely don't want you to get burnt out. We want the EA show to keep going. So if you have to take a show away before you burn yourself out, if you need to.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's what I've done. We've taken away the Thursday shows.
Okay.
So we're just doing a interview and after party on Tuesdays and Saturdays, and then the Bible study is before the Saturday shows.
I should really start joining that Bible study. That would probably be really helpful for me.
We maybe get about 3 verses, and we've done 17 hours worth of conversation, and we're only at the beginning of Genesis 4.
Oh, okay.
So the entire hour-long conversation, we really dig into each verse and pick apart every single word. So it's very slow paced, but I believe that it helps. I believe that it helps me get a better understanding of all different kinds of faith. So I would love you to join.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
that'd be cool. It'd be a great learning opportunity. EA, I do want to thank you for calling in. We got a couple other callers we get to, but if you could, tell us where everyone can check you out at?
Thank you very much. So if you just go to YouTube and you type in the EA show or Empathetic Atheist show, I should be one of the top ones that pop up. I think with most people that I've seen them look it up, I'm typically right there at the top of the search bar. And go there, like and subscribe if you like the content, and if anybody is interested, whether theist or atheist, on coming on, shoot me a message. All the links to my Facebook and everything are inside of the descriptions of all the videos. And enjoy.
Thank you, EA. Appreciate you calling in. And,
I love what you do.
Yeah, agreed. But I meant to ask you this earlier. Have you ever considered actually going back to a therapist?
Yes, off and on. I'm still waiting to kind of see how my new insurance is playing out and how that's going to work. Financially within this pandemic, work has been very slow. So I'm definitely trying to watch my financial status. And once I am comfortable, I think that I might actually go and see somebody, because my wife has been able to work down this man complex that I have, to where I just need to puff my chest out and say everything's okay. So
Good for you.
working towards getting help with that.
Good. Well, I can say this. Oz from the Atheist Roundtable can recommend a very good secular therapist. I finally got my appointment scheduled, so I should be starting that within the next I think it's mid-December. I don't know. I'll have to look that up.
Yeah, if you can't get that person, then the Secular Therapy Project, obviously, as I'm sure you've heard, recommended on the Atheist Experience many times. But for anybody else who hasn't, the Secular Therapy Project is a good source that you can go to find somebody who's not going to be pushing, well, just go home and pray about it.
Right.
And I recommend psychotherapy personally, just from my own experience. Psychotherapy is when they use kind of asking you questions and allowing you to answer things for yourself so that you can hear it, kind of like using straight epistemology, but on yourself in therapy. So.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys for having me on. I appreciate you guys taking my call.
No, thanks.
I'm glad you could call.
And I hope you enjoy the rest of your weekend.
And I hope you get to be able to go to festivals soon.
Yeah, me too. Hopefully once everything opens back up and we can be a little bit more comfortable being around large groups of people. Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely looking forward to it.
Awesome, EA. Well, enjoy the rest of your day.
Thanks, Justin.
You also. Thank
Oh, crap. I hit it. You know what always perplexed me? Why, I don't know. There are so many soldiers that suffer from PTSD, and yet we still insist on using fireworks on the 4th of July. Like, hey, let's celebrate our soldiers by making a good chunk of them feel completely miserable throughout the entire duration, because so many of them have PTSD from these noises, and yet it's just I don't know. I wish we could get silent fireworks. That would be cool.
That's a good thing to think about.
Yeah,
because I don't think that you're going to be able to take fireworks away from. I mean, it's hard to take fireworks away from people during a burn ban.
Right.
People love their fireworks. There's a lot of money that goes into that.
That's true. All right, cool. I gotta stop saying all right. Every time I say that, call me on it, so I break that damn habit.
Well, this brings up real quick before we move on. How are you doing since you've been meditating? Do you notice any kind of difference in your attention span?
I will say not my attention span, but I during that period, it does calm me down. For that 10 minutes, I've been doing it with you. I'm like the first day I was still meditating and then looking at my phone, and then the second day I was just put the fucking phone down, sit here and do nothing. So I just sat there. At first I'm just da-di-da-di-da, trying to do stuff. And I'm just breathe, listen, calm your mind. So yeah, it has been helpful. So I definitely plan on continuing to do it.
Cool.
I think it will help, or it will continue to help.
So, but you can already see a difference from Monday or Tuesday, the first day you did it, to Thursday or Friday, whenever the last one was, that you can pay more attention for longer, right?
Much more attention. I wasn't as erratic, because my brain is just it's it's on crack. It's just always just go everything. And it's calm down, breathe. So yeah, I'm going to continue to do that. And I really need to start doing yoga, especially because my brother is a yoga teacher. I just need to be just start doing it with him.
Oh my God. Well, maybe I need to get with him, because maybe I can start doing yoga during my streams.
Ooh, yeah. Maybe we can do a yoga stream.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
That would be cool.
Okay, we're gonna have to talk more about this. This is completely off topic, but
yeah. Let's get to. Oh, I said all right again.
That's okay.
No, I have to stop that, because I'll be after this, I'll be editing the videos, and I'll going to cut out each caller so I can upload it. And at the beginning of each caller, I'll say, "All right, our next caller," and I'm oh, so frustrating.
I'm pretty sure that you're the only person who noticed that.
Okay, well, that's good. I think you'll notice it now.
Maybe not.
All right, cool. Oh, come on.
Hey, you know what? So this kind of goes hand in hand with trauma. The first step to fixing any of these kinds of problems is awareness. The more that you catch yourself saying, all right, catch yourself, don't beat yourself up, say, it's okay that you said all right again, but you said all right again. Tell yourself, acknowledge it, and then you can start changing the behavior. But that's what meditation is. It is practicing the focus.
And there's nothing wrong with saying all right. It's just when you say it constantly over and over again.
Just gets old.
And I do like this. That's a good point. We do try and each week follow up on the things we talked about before, promises we made, like finding a therapist and meditation and stuff. If you do want to meditate with Jenna and I, it's Monday through Friday or Monday through Saturday at 10 a.m. Central Standard Time on twitch.tv/Jenna Belk.
Yep.
Cool. We need to get to our next caller.
Yay.
All right. Not all right. Is this John? You want to talk about, is it Christian mental health?
Yeah. Hi, how are you guys doing?
Doing well.
Hello,
Yourself?
John.
Yeah, I'm doing all right. I was just curious what your take was on Christian mental health services. Just as a quick little background, I got committed to one a few years back off of kind of a misunderstanding, and it was kind of a wreck of an experience that, I don't know, I feel like I have maybe a little bit of trauma from it. I still get nightmares and think about it on occasion, but it was just weird. After that experience, I looked more into it, and this place I was at, I guess, is the fourth biggest mental health service provider in the USA, which kind of was interesting to me. I get like a lot of people are Christians in the US, but they used to require a statement of faith to be able to work there, and so I'm not a Christian. Okay. I haven't been a Christian since I was a kid. And I don't know. Do you guys have any thoughts on Christian mental health services, having people who believe that angels and demons are fighting for your soul, looking over you for your mental health?
So for one, I don't have a lot of experience with Christian mental health services. I can only go off of the things I've learned from Christian friends and their methodology for improving mental health. And I think it can be quite problematic. I don't think, like, if you want to pray on top of getting the help you need, by all means, but I don't think we should be telling anybody to pray their problems away. We need to be talking about them. People should see a therapist, psychiatrist, get the help they needed versus relying on or believing that demons are trying to get you or that you can just pray them away.
So I saw a therapist that was a Catholic, the first therapist I saw. And while the therapy session, I mean, they could have been so much more beneficial. They could have been so much more efficient if I didn't have prayer. But I couldn't say that they were in any way harmful because it did get me to start going and start allowing myself to talk to somebody. It did allow me to share what it was that I needed to start talking about. And it did help identify certain things about myself that I wasn't able to recognize on my own. So, for example, my first therapist noticed that I was a serious perfectionist. And one of the tips that she gave me was to write on my bathroom mirror, I'm not perfect. I'm never going to be perfect. And that's okay. And I had to look at that every day when I left the house. And it helped me so much to go easier on myself. So, regardless of whether or not this was the therapist for me, I definitely benefit from it. So again, I wonder if that answers your question.
Yeah, I was just curious what your guys' take was. I didn't know what your experience was with any of that. It was really weird. I think it was a holiday weekend that I was there. And so I had to see a bunch of different psychiatrists. I think I saw 4 psychiatrists over like a 10-day period, and each of them had a different diagnosis for me. And I just thought about that later on. I was like, these guys believe in God and all this stuff, but couldn't be bothered to do any sort of testing to confirm that they were correct with their diagnosis. Just kind of a bit.
I would say that that's probably the trickiest part is the diagnosing because of what they use for their criteria. Like, for example, that one of these people, the person who recommended this therapist to me, believes in exorcisms. And I wonder how many times an exorcism has been used on somebody rather than something that I wonder how harmful stuff like that is. And so, yeah, I don't know. That's a very tricky question.
So we actually had a
Yeah, pretty
caller
weird.
on my other show about I think it was about a month ago, and that caller suffered through some trauma, and next thing she knows, she's being forced into an exorcism because I think it was her pastor, her father. I'm trying to remember
Yeah, I
that.
think I heard that one.
Yeah, and they believe that something is wrong with her, so they did a friggin' exorcism on her.
Hmm.
And the problem was if you watch that call, you'll see me like physically, I guess, shut down because based on the few things she had told me following by that, I didn't know how to like address it at all. I felt terrible that she was going through this, but she also seemed to be okay with the fact and open to this exorcism. So
Yeah.
it's terrifying that people could do that to another person, and they really do believe it. They do.
I have had panic attacks before that may, to somebody who did not know otherwise, that may have looked like I was possessed, to where I'm screaming and I look like I'm literally possessed. And I'm just like, if somebody, I can just imagine how many times people just show, it was just extreme emotion. It was stress that needed outside of my body that I needed to get rid of. And it was the only way that I could get rid of it at the time. I have since learned better coping mechanisms, but I just can't imagine how many times people have gone through an experience like that. And then somebody's strapping them down. And I can tell you right now that is the worst thing for a person when they are in that state of mind.
Well, I think it also goes into not just accepting responsibility, but taking control of your own actions and thoughts and realizing that it is indeed you having these feelings, not something else. And I think just blaming it on something else is a great way to just ignore the problem and not actually work on it.
Yeah, it's going to get worse, more likely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think originally, I could be wrong on this, but historically, psychiatry comes out of the Catholic Church thinking that demons were affecting the brains of people. And so they were drilling holes into people's heads to take out the parts of the brains that the demons were affecting. But yeah, it's pretty weird. I guess the one thing I really kind of wanted to get in on this call is just to let people know, like if you're looking for health services, if you're not spiritual or you're an atheist, to be aware that there are really spiritual psychiatrists out there who otherwise would look professional but really aren't, because they're not really in the same spiritual realm as you, where you kind of lack one. I know, Jenna, I've seen you on the atheist experience now questioning, what is a spirit? How do we define that? And is it even real? There's just, I think really the one thing that sunk this home pretty deep for me was one of the people that was working there while I was committed was like telling me that she was on my side and she was praying for me and that she really wanted me to figure everything out and do well. And then it turned out she was my next door neighbor in the new place that I moved into. And I think she ended up offing herself. And it kind of put a new place in my heart for people working under those conditions, especially with spiritual beliefs. Like, I don't know, it's pretty complicated stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Someone you work with every day, you don't see that. And then I got committed by accident and haven't had any issues ever since. So
that's horrible.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so sorry. Yeah. And so I wonder if it's dismissive of me or if it's optimistic to say that, just looking at history, Yes, it's horrible what religion has done, and religious therapy, and just misunderstanding the human brain in general. But then I look at us having a show like this, and I just see how far we've come. And as harmful as it can be, I think that whatever it is that we're doing, we must be. Nope, that's a fallacy. I'm stopping my line of thought right there.
I love that. See, like, isn't it awesome when you
people
catch
moving in the right direction? I think that there are people moving in the right direction. Some people are still doing stuff how they were back in the old days, but I don't know. Maybe I could be wrong, because the God debate's still over. Someone could call in on Sunday and say, "Hey, look, I got God on the line."
I would love that.
Me too.
I can't wait to find out which one.
That would be like my prayers being answered, being able to talk to God.
Right? Like literally.
Yeah. Thanks for giving me your guys' takes on everything.
Oh, thank you for taking the time to, not only watch our show, but to call in and talk to us. Viewers like you help make our show continue and go on. So thank you.
Yeah, that was a good topic. It was definitely worth bringing up.
Food for thought. So I'll let you guys get on to next right. caller.
Enjoy the rest of your weekend.
Later.
Thank you.
This is clearly a good topic because we have several callers, and this is awesome. So just keep moving.
I think I've heard before, and I'm looking this up as I say. Okay, I saw in the comments, I think Katie said that there's fight, flight, freeze, or fawn now. Have you heard of fawn?
No, I have not. I saw that in the comments.
Yeah, I looked it up, and apparently it's fight. Obviously, you get physical. Flight, you run away. Freeze, you just stop moving and hope that whatever it is that's looking for you won't see you. Or fawn, where you basically woo or try to pass yourself off as harmless. And I think that's a legitimate form of survival. I mean,
yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, just think about how many. The first thing that I think of, maybe this is horrible, but the first thing I think of is if a woman were to be kidnapped or something, first instinct that I would have would be to seduce your captor.
Really?
That's the first survival instinct that my mind says is use what you got.
That makes sense, but it's stomach turning.
It is. But it's a survival.
This could actually be a whole show, like sexual trauma and mental health. And what people go through. And there are, I never mind. I could go into a tangent, but we'll just go on to our next caller.
Okay.
Allison, you are on with Jenna and Ethan. How are you, Allison?
Hi, I'm good. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Yeah.
What did you want to talk about?
Cool. I just wanted to talk about how before COVID started and the pandemic and quarantine and all of that, I was already isolating a lot. I was staying home because home is safe to me. Home doesn't have triggers. Home, I can stay leveled and in a good place because I have complex CPTSD. So
I'm sorry.
So it's everybody else is freaking out, going, we can't go out, we can't be social, can't do this, can't do that. And here I am going, thinking that I've trained for this for the last year and a half. And I'm totally prepared because I've been already doing it so much, right? So, but just wanted to know what you guys' take on that is.
On the isolation?
Yeah.
Or just staying home because you want to avoid triggers.
Yeah. And I guess another part too is I saw this a couple days ago on Facebook that there's a page, and I discovered that there are walks and protesters of people who are protesting masks, they're protesting COVID, they're protesting the lockdown, and it's just way too many people. And like, I saw that, and they've been doing it every Saturday for months now, and it just, like, I almost had an anxiety attack. Like, I had to stop and be like, okay, this is not affecting me right now. Like, this is bad, you know, because it's pretty much like a super spreader parade, but like, it's not directly affecting me right now. So I had to take a step back and go, okay, breathe. It's okay, you know, and then I did a couple coping things, but it's like, I'm still really just angry about it.
You know, I think that is actually a pretty legitimate response to something like that, though, considering there is a pandemic and there are hundreds of thousands of people dying.
Right.
And I mean, if that's not a reason to go into survival mode when you're around a large crowd of people, I mean, that's your body telling you that you're unsafe. I would think that that's something, it's understandable. So, I mean, that's tough, and it stinks so bad that we have to go through things like that. But I wouldn't go so hard on if you are beating yourself up, which it kind of sounds like. I wouldn't go too hard on yourself because it sounds legit, you know.
So let me ask you this, do you ever go out at all? Like make trips to
Yeah, I go out with the help of my friend. Like, I have a friend who's really good about it. Like, he tries to get me out of the house, and we'll go to like the local pub and make sure that it's, you know, there's not many people, if any customers at all in there. And like, I can relate to Justin with making sure my back's against the wall.
Right.
Wherever I go in a booth, and I got to make sure that I'm not, like, especially not having my back towards the door. I just can't do that. So, but I always have my mask, and I don't know how, I lost track of how many times I've left the house and been like, oh, I forgot my mask. I gotta go back and get it. And then, like, I make sure that I have a mask wherever I go public. And it's just, I've been having trouble going out by myself without anybody. So I'm wondering if you guys have any tips with that to, I guess, get up enough courage to get out there by myself.
So I would say like, okay, what worked for me was my friend Holly was really like, you know, you gotta live your life once in a while. Just come out, because I'd be texting her like a half hour beforehand. This is earlier this year, and I'm like, no, I don't want to come out. I'm sorry, I'm just gonna stay home. She's like, you haven't been out in a while. Just come with me. For me, I found that just putting myself in that position helped a lot. But I think the best thing to do would be to start with like baby steps. Go to 7-Eleven by yourself. Then go to the grocery store by yourself, and then start running little errands without anybody. And then as you get used to that, you can progress onward and go to a bar by yourself. However, I want to be clear, I'm not necessarily recommending you, because of COVID, that you constantly go out and expose yourself. Definitely make sure you practice safe and responsible social distancing and wear a mask. But I would say, like Jenna was talking about earlier with exposure therapy, just start exposing yourself on a smaller level with those quick errands, if possible.
Or even if you just have to wait until they start opening everything back up again. I mean, it probably won't take too many more months, fingers crossed. But I mean, I'm sure we'll have the opportunity before long.
I hope not. But yeah, it's like,
when's the last time you
the COVID thing?
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Sorry.
No, please.
I was just gonna say, the COVID thing has given me more of a reason to feel better about staying inside. It's almost like it's no longer an excuse, it's a reason.
Right.
kind of thing.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with staying inside. Obviously, it's the safer option, but if you can, well, let me ask you this: when's the last time you left the house by yourself? Like, even if it was just a trip to the grocery store or something.
Like months, I think.
Oh wow. Okay. Then
Yeah.
if possible, I would try starting out small. Then maybe make a trip once in a week to the store if you can.
Hmm.
I would say I mean, that's so tricky. Are you seeing anybody talking about this particular thing at all?
I am. I've been seeing a therapist for about a month and a bit now, and I am on a waiting list for DBT.
Nice.
Which is, yeah, and like the therapy is Zoom sessions. Which
Oh,
is
cool.
really awful because if it's been, yeah, so if so, yeah, so it's been really good. It's secular therapy. Like I've made it clear that I'm an atheist and things, and I've called in to a couple of other shows and actually was like, here, listen to this and let me know what you think. And she gave me some feedback on it. So it's good.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds like you're doing everything that you need to be doing. Because my biggest thing is that if there's something keeping you inside, maybe you need to be inside for a little while, stay inside until you just can't stand it anymore. Maybe. I mean, it's hard to say because you're the best authority on your own body,
Like I do have fear of people. Like I have what's called a nonverbal learning disorder. So my vision is impaired in a lot of areas. So I was involved, like I knew people, and unfortunately one person murdered the other, and then I had to be involved in the court case and stuff. And so when I found out that that person who murdered the other person was out of jail, it like upped my panic of being found because the person was really violent and had expressed previously how if anybody like screwed them over, they would come at them. But the thing is they said that they would send somebody. So it's like kind of like a fear of having this mystery person come and hurt me. And so that's been a huge contributor to me staying inside out of fear. And then having the nonverbal learning disorder, it affects my vision. So I'll be out in an area where I had, I knew this person used to hang out, and then I would start seeing him in different places. If anyone even looked remotely like this person, I would see them, and then I'd have a panic attack on the street. So that's another part of it.
So that's tough when you have a traumatic response to a legitimate threat. That's different because it's not like something you can just talk yourself out of. It's not something you can just rationalize yourself through it and say, hey, friend, remind me how harmless this actually is. It's not like that. This is a legitimate, you have several threats, so I have no idea how to function like that. And I'm sorry if I'm making this worse. I hope I'm validating and not intensifying this. But I'm glad that you're taking care of yourself. I'm glad that you're seeing somebody because that's difficult.
It's important.
And I'm glad that you felt like sharing this. That's complicated.
Yeah, it's very complicated. So like this whole pandemic thing is kind of like, hey, now I have a reason to stay inside and not feel guilty about it and not be looked at weird and misunderstood, and having people ask, how come you never go outside? And it's like like, I don't know if, like, I've been thinking about moving out of the city I've been in for months, but, like, I'm
Man.
just, like, everything's kind of at a halt with COVID right now.
Right.
So it's been really tough.
I'm really sorry that you're going through all this. It's
Yeah.
and isolation doesn't help. I know, at times it does feel good to be alone. But sometimes you just need to be around people. At least I do. And coping with isolation can be very, very difficult. I'm fortunate that I live with my brother and my nephew, so I don't get isolated as often as some other people. But if I was alone, I have to be honest, I would probably be struggling.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Same. So I'm sorry. I don't know I don't even know what to say. I wish I had more answers.
I wish I could give you, if I had your consent, a hug right now, Allison.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Aw. Thanks. Hugs through the monitor.
Air hugs.
Air hugs. But yeah, like, I understand, like, this is a very complicated, kind of extreme situation, right? So it's like, I guess I just wanted to spread the word that it's like, if you're going through something similar like this, you're not alone.
No.
And things will get better. Like I said, I've been going through therapy and I've been given tools to help. Like, I have my big, huge stuffies to cuddle if I need them, or I've got scented candles and all that stuff. So, like, once I get through the DBT, then the trauma processing will start, and then I'll work through all of this. Like, there's a lot more, but I don't want to get into it because I don't want to take up much more of your time. But once the trauma processing starts, then things will get better. I just got to work through it. So.
And Allison, of course, we are here every Sunday, and you're always welcome, to call back again and talk to us some more.
And I want to say thank you to Allison. We have been discussing a sign off, for our show, because we've been out here for a couple months now and we still didn't have a sign off. And so we'd finally come up with one, and you just changed our mind. So now you've given us our sign off. And so you're going to hear, we're going to quote you at the end of every show.
You're not alone. This will get better. So thank you, Allison.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm happy to help. That's great.
Hell yeah.
I'm happy to leave this call on that positive note,
Hell yeah. And I'm really happy you called in and, got us our closer and shared your story. So thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks.
And I hope things will get better.
Well, they do. Thanks, Allison.
Yeah.
I have always wished I could, I should say always. We do have two other callers. We'll pick you up in just a moment. There are times especially this past week, where I just wish I could go, not back in time and change things, but go back and just look at myself and be like, dude, things are going to get better for you. Like, I know you're like so miserable right now and you think you have nothing to live for and your life is over and there's nothing left, but you're going to fulfill so many of your dreams in 2020. And Jenna Belk has been instrumental in, achieving. So for those that don't know, Jenna has been impacted my life in many ways. So for example, here's one. Next week, I'm going to Arizona. Do you know the only reason I'm going to Arizona is primarily because of you? Because early on in my YouTube career, there was a argument on my channel between two opposing views, and it kind of messed up a friendship. I think you know who I'm talking about. I just don't want to say the name.
I think so.
So, after that had happened, I was like on the fence. I wasn't sure what to do. And, it kind of screwed up a friendship. And Jenna reached out and wanted to talk about that. And as a result, I ended up like amending that friendship. And not only that, now I'm going out to visit that person next week and stay with her. So yeah, Jenna, like this is awesome. And you obviously like were the first person to give me a chance and let me interview you on my other channel. So you have helped me achieve like several things in 2020. So thank you, Jenna.
I am honored to be any part of your journey, Ethan.
You're an awesome human being.
Oh, thank you. You too.
Thanks.
And I'm becoming friends with her too. She and I are very similar-minded type people.
Yeah.
I like her a lot. I'm glad that y'all were able to stay friends.
Me too. And there was something else I wanted to say, but I totally blanked on it. But that's okay. We'll get to our next caller. We've got, it doesn't say the name, but it says the caller's from Northwest Indiana. Hi, you're on with Ethan and Jenna. Who is this?
Hi, this is Judy from Northwest Indiana.
Hi.
I hope you guys are doing well, and everyone. I called in to make a comment. The first fellow, I think it was, had said that he was waiting for his insurance before he was able to see a therapist or a psychiatrist or whichever. And it broke my heart because I've been on both sides where I've had insurance and now I don't have insurance. And I just wanted to make a comment that there are places out there where that charge according to a scale, it's called, according to your income, or if you don't have income, they don't charge at all. And you just have to kind of search for them. They're community places, or they're places that are organizational by the hospital or whatever. You just have to kind of search for them. Sometimes the hospital can point you in the right direction on where to go, or a community organization can point you where to go. And they're wonderful, wonderful places. And they have a broad selection of places, of people, therapists and or psychiatrists. And also I know you have a short amount of time.
Well, I just wanted to ask. I just wanted to ask, is this a phone number?
I'm sorry, say it again.
Is there a phone number?
Oh, they're all over the country. It just depends on your location.
What would somebody search?
Like, yeah.
I'm sorry, I cannot. You're breaking up.
So if right now, like, I wanted to advise our audience, like how they could seek this out, what would they Google search, or how could they find out more about this?
Okay, you could Google therapist, community therapist, or community psychiatric, community psychiatric
supportive treatment.
Community psychiatric treatment.
Okay.
Or you can Google on your local hospital, and you can ask the reception desk for the psychiatric floor, and ask them on the psychiatric floor where they could go for this type of treatment or this type of care, and they could point you in the right direction. Or look up. They used to have yellow pages. Shows you how old I am.
Well, there's a website that I just found called communitypsychiatriccenters.com.
I'm sorry, you're breaking up.
There's a website that I found called Community Psychiatric Centers Professional Mental Health Services.
There you go.
So that looks like it. I'll share that link in the chat there.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, you're breaking up real bad.
You're coming in quite clear, actually. Okay. Well, thank you for sharing that with us. And hopefully.
Yeah. And what was the other thing you wanted to share?
Yes, I do want to share that I've had good experiences with therapists and psychiatrists, and I've had not so good experiences.
Same.
And I wanted to share that if you're on the end of having not good experiences with a therapist or psychiatrist, do not be afraid to leave them and find somebody else. Right. They are not, the individuals are not the be-all and end-all of therapy and psychiatrists. Please leave them and find someone else, that works for you.
Right.
And that you can find someone that works for your personality, for your individual diagnosis. Do not be afraid, especially if they are telling you, you have to take this medication or you will relapse. You must take this. Find someone who will work with you.
Right.
You do not have to take that. You do not have to put up with them. Find someone who will work with you. Do not. It is not a must. There are 1,001. I've had a doctor who told me there are a dime a dozen out there. And please believe that. Please believe that. Find someone who will work with you, who will take good care of you. And don't put up with it. Don't put up with it. If you don't feel comfortable with them, find someone you feel comfortable with. You don't have to take BS from someone. Do not, just because they have a degree, you don't have to put up with it. Please find someone who you feel comfortable with, who feels like a warm hug. I forget how Eric Murphy puts it. Tummy rubs and something or other. Find someone who you feel really, really comfortable with. I have wonderful therapists and psychiatrists now who I just would not give up, for the world. And I don't have to pay for it. I found not that I'm, bragging or anything, but
No, right.
like I said, I don't have insurance. We ended up in a situation where my husband lost his job quite a few years ago. And, we're just very thankful that there was an organization out there who pointed us in the right direction. It's a community organization. And we're able to, have this available to us. So please, I was in a situation for 10 years where I put up with a psychiatrist who drugged me to the hilt, and it's awful, just
That's
awful.
terrible.
And I won't go into it, I won't, because I could be on the phone for hours telling you. And that's not the point of my call, but just I want to make sure people know there are organizations available for you, and doctors and psychiatrists, therapists available for you for what you have. And I do have complex PTSD. I have bipolar. I do have diagnoses that are hard to deal with. So don't say, don't think, my diagnoses are too difficult. There are doctors out there and therapists out there who will take care of you. Please believe it. So that was what I wanted to say.
Judy, you are the sweetest caller. Thank you.
You are.
So damn pleasant.
No, thank you.
I'm so glad that you called.
Me too. It was so uplifting
Thank you.
and pleasant, and
Thank you.
Yeah, I don't have insurance right now. So, if I did need to see a therapist again, I'd have to call my old therapist, and she'd be out of network. So I'd be paying a couple $100 a session. So thank you.
yeah, and that's not affordable.
Nope.
It's like, hey,
Yeah.
welcome to America. We'll take care of your mental health and then send you a $5,000 bill after.
But you know what? Even if it is,
Uh-huh.
even if it does have to be an out of network person, even if it is not covered by insurance, if you think that therapy just doesn't work, Judy is right. You haven't found the right person yet. Keep looking, please.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
kind of where I'm at is it hasn't worked for me yet, but I'm still continuing to try and find one. And I am excited.
Yeah.
I talked to this new therapist for probably like 45 minutes, and I am excited to start therapy with her and see where it goes.
Yay.
Good.
And one other thing I would stress that anybody that's looking for a therapist not go into it thinking that you're going to fix yourself, because there's no fixing point. There is no end. There is just growth, acceptance, learning, love, all that. So if you're growing, then you're doing good. So
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you, Judy.
thank you, Judy, for calling.
I hope you.
Thank you both.
Thanks. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.
You too, both of you. Bye.
Some callers really have a way to just like bounce the mood all the way up.
Yeah.
With their, polite and uplifting demeanor.
Who knew we'd be smiling so much during a traumatic episode?
Right.
Well, but so this is a big point is that, we've been talking about mental health and trauma, and we tend to forget sometimes that trauma is physical. Trauma not only is, when your subconscious gets woken up and starts running things for you, but it's physical stress in the body. So you can have, like our next caller, Jesse wants to talk about a car accident, and have to recover from that as well. So,
well, and before we bring him on, I think we should definitely point out like there are emotional and psychological symptoms of trauma and physical. Some of the physical symptoms of trauma are insomnia, fatigue, being startled easily, happens to me all the time, difficulty concentrating, racing heartbeat, edginess, aches, pains, and muscle tension. And then some psychological ones are shock, denial, disbelief, confusion, difficulty concentrating, anger, anxiety, guilt, withdrawing from others, feeling sad and hopelessness, and feeling disconnected or numb. And
I try to refrain from separating psychological and physical, because psychological is physical. You know, that I have been given an anti-anxiety medication that takes out physical nerve pain in your brain.
Okay.
I never understood that mental pain is physical. To us, it's not as relevant because it doesn't seem like it's physical pain, but it's legit.
It is, and a lot of people do not understand that. A perfect example, like I was talking, my family this past Thanksgiving, they're like, no politics, which they used to want to talk politics until I became liberal. Once I became liberal,
when everybody's on the same side, it's real easy to talk about.
So I was like, okay. And in my head, I'm like, well, what else can I talk about? And I ended up doing, we ended up talking about mental health. And a family member was like, well, I don't have any issues. I think, society's just being like weak and just needs to, get through it. And I'm like, that's not how it works. It's a chemical imbalance in the brain. It's not, there's no just, I'm just going to make myself feel better so I feel better. It's simply not how it works. Some people need medication. Some people need therapy. And psychological trauma can be, at times, in my opinion, worse than physical trauma.
When people say that, it's like when you say that you're being weak, what are you achieving by doing that? What can I do to make myself not mentally weak? Just not say anything, just not acknowledge that there's even an issue, because I guarantee you that doesn't help the problem go away.
Nope.
That's not fixing anything. So I would challenge anybody who tries to disregard any of this as weak or anything like that. Okay, what's your solution? You obviously seem to be full of them. Sorry.
Unfortunately, a lot of people's solutions are you just need to deal with it. Other people do, and move on. It's like nope. I recognize that I have a psychological trauma. It's not something like I'm proud of, but I obviously I need to talk about it and find coping mechanisms. One of my coping mechanisms is dark humor. Like I actually hold back pretty much all of my humor on Facebook just because, for me, I'll have a limited number of friends that I know I can share that dark humor with, but things like that, like making fun of myself or things that have happened, it makes it easier for me to cope just thinking about those things and laughing about them. For me, it helps me gain acceptance. Okay, this thing that happened to me sucks. I need to deal with it, but I'm going to find ways to laugh at it. And just, I don't know. That's how I cope.
And that's whatever works for you. I tend to dissociate.
I
tend to binge watch Netflix or Disney Plus. I've been watching Sister all over again.
that was actually my coping mechanism for many years, was just hiding. I would come home from work, I would go straight to the couch, and I would put on my iPad and sit there with movies and TV shows until it was time to go to bed. Then I'd go to bed, fall asleep with a movie on, wake up, listen to a movie until I had to go to work, drive to work, and repeat. I sat in front of a iPad for years doing nothing, just miserable, completely. I deleted my Facebook. I didn't talk to people. I was I never took pictures of myself. Like, it was just, I was kind of ashamed of everything. So I just had to stay away from everybody. And it was not a fun time, Jenna.
I'm glad you're back.
Me too. I just wish I could go talk to myself. Like, that would be, I just want to go back and help him, and I can't. So I guess I'll just do my best to
Hey,
help
you
other people.
are. You're helping him right now. You're having a live stream on mental health and traumatic events every week to, raise mental health awareness and create a healthier civilization to live in. I mean, you are helping you.
That's okay. That's actually a really good point, because this show has talking about my mental health and being like open about it has been incredibly beneficial for me. And it's funny though, because I could still picture the old version of me, like hearing me talk and going, stop being so weak. Why are you telling this people stuff? Like I can feel my old self getting mad at my new self in my head for doing this.
And that is where the trick of rerouting that trauma is identifying that. Identify when you talk to yourself in an abusive way, catch it, and don't scold yourself for doing it, because you understand why you do that. It's because of the way that you were raised, right?
Yep.
So to acknowledge that, say, you know what? It's okay. It's understandable, but let's not do that anymore. Let's be nice to us.
Right. It's
been a good Schmiegel.
Deprogramming, removing those forced thoughts. They're just telling yourself to tough it out. And I still hear that in my head. Be a man, do it. Like, rub some dirt on it, man. You got this. And like, I also will continually say, like, well, someone else has it worse. What are you complaining about? You got nothing to be upset about. And I need to stop doing that. All right, let's get to our last caller. And I said all right again. Damn it.
That's okay.
Jesse, you are on with Ethan and Jenna. What's going on?
Ethan, when you say all right, it's barely noticeable.
See?
Good. But to me, it is. Every time I see it or hear it back, I'm like, ugh, stop.
So now it's our job. Anytime anybody hears Ethan say the word all right, we have to tell him.
Yes. Help me stop saying it, please. It was a terrible habit I started that needs to be broken.
I'm not going to help you, and I don't really think it's noticeable at all. Anyway, I just wanted to say that when you were talking about your former self saying to tough it out, you're a wimp, that's bullshit. Because your former self that is telling you to do that is the one that's weak. He's being a fucking wuss. He's the one that's hiding from it. You're the one who's talking about it. The one who's talking about it is being the one who's strong and facing the problem.
Right.
The one that's saying tough it out is being the one that's real wuss and is running away from it. He's not.
Well, so real quick, I hate interrupting, and I especially hate interrupting on a call like this. But the one reason that I interrupt is to catch and hopefully identify in you as well that's exactly what I personally recommend we don't do. The person in him that is being critical is afraid. Let's say little Ethan.
That's
little Ethan is afraid. Little Ethan is not a wuss.
Can we not say little Ethan? Because that actually
okay. So what can we call it? Say.
No, I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm just being right now.
Oh, I'm just trying to. The point is that if we say you're bad and you're good, then somebody's still bad. And the point is that no part of us is just bad. It's that we were raised and we had some bad experiences and we picked up some bad habits. And now all we have to do is keep trying to help identify in each other what can be done in a healthier way and, what's less healthy. So just to be honest and say, you're not a wuss. You never were a wuss. You were afraid and you were badgered, and that's legit.
I think that's actually, agree. That's a really good point, Jenna, because I was scared of appearing weak to other people. I was scared that other people would view me differently.
Don't differentiate the two, in other words. All right, well, then just realize that you've grown into someone that's, brave enough to face the problem.
I hope so. I think I am. I'm trying to be.
Yeah.
It takes practice. And if you're not, that's okay. It takes practice.
Sorry, right. Jesse. What were you saying?
I was in, like I said, I had a car accident in 1984. And I have a traumatic brain injury from that. And it's just now, excuse me, living through that. I've come so far in that. I mean, I go through all my therapies. So I've gone through. I go through them with flying colors.
Good.
In the hospital, I was the star patient, and I've gone through a lot of therapies from that. I come through them like so far, and I mean, I'm talking about the intense therapies. However, the intense therapies are primarily the physical ones, but a lot of things with the brain injury is that a lot of people say it's like the invisible injury because you don't necessarily see all the problems that are the main ones. Because a lot of times people with brain injury will look fine and you can carry on a coherent conversation, but when you get to really know them, you really see what the problems are, and they're more obvious. I was at this one workshop, and there was this girl that had a brain injury, and she was really, the physical problems with her were so debilitating. I mean, she was in it was like a chair she had to be kept upright, and she just had like so many physical problems with her, where she couldn't move by herself at all. And she was fairly cognitive. Her cognition was still there. I mean, you could keep a decent conversation with her, but she was just physically pretty much not able to move at all. And I asked her, or she was asked, I don't remember if it was me or whoever, whatever, but which she thought was worse, the physical or the brain injury. And she said the brain injury was worse. So that's how bad it is. A lot of my problems are getting overwhelmed easily, forgetting what I want to say, because there are quite a few things I've wanted to say during the show that I'm sure that I've forgotten. I don't know. I mean, I listened to the first time I called the show. I was on for a while, and I think back to it, I'm like, oh my God, I was awful. I should have said something differently, and I should have said that. Why did I react that way? And I just feel terrible about it. And it's just because I was there in the moment, and it wasn't, I couldn't think. Just like now, I'm sure I can't think of what else I want to say. I'll listen back to this. I think, well, why didn't I say this? It was so obvious that I should have said this. And, well, what can I say? But anyway, it's just all part of the same thing. And I've been only saw like 2 therapists since then. The first one I saw for, I don't know, like maybe 35 years or 30 some years until she retired. I first saw her the place I went for therapy right after my accident, and she was trained in it. Then when she retired, she found me somebody else that I'm with now that is absolutely fantastic. So it's like I've been very lucky with my therapist.
That's good.
So yeah. that's pretty much all I have to say on that for now. But I'm not going to take up your time. Anyway.
It sounds tough.
Yeah.
I don't know much about how to recover from, brain injuries. Like,
I'm trying to recover from my own brain injury. I mean, the epilepsy I had, like, really, like, those seizures for so many years, and the medication, it destroyed my brain. Like, I truly thought it was just complete mush. Granted, it's improved a lot, but there's still so many times when, ADHD aside, you'll see me and I'll just be like the thoughts can't be pulled out of my head, or I get like tongue twisted either, or I forget, like completely forget stuff, or can't access memories. Like, I have so many things that have negatively impacted me as a result of my epilepsy. However, I feel like there are things I'm doing that seem to be at least helping a bit. So I need to continue to do everything I can to try and heal my brain. I only hope, although I don't expect, that I'll ever get my memories back from those several years, because it's a blur. I don't think that's the problem. Is I don't think I actually formed the memories.
That's something that I learned when I was looking into my history of drinking and blacking out. What I used to call browning out, where I would be functioning and conscious and wasted, but I would have absolutely no recollection except for some bits and pieces. Like, oh, I remember that we were here, or I remember that we went here, but then that's like all I can remember. And with things like that, it sounds like those kinds of things, the memories, like you said, just aren't formed. Your brain isn't collecting those memories. Like when my brain was just fully saturated in alcohol, I wasn't able to create a scene to remember, to recall later, from what I've learned. So yeah, that's complicated.
Yeah, it is.
Well, thank you, Jesse, for calling and sharing that with us. That's so tough. I'm so sorry.
It is. And Jesse, it's always nice talking to you, and I appreciate you, calling the show again and, watching us every week.
Not a problem. It's weird because a lot of times I think, well, I'm just not going to bother calling because I've got a lot of other stuff to do on Sundays, and then the topics you come up with are like, oh my God, I gotta call in about this one.
We'll try to keep doing that to you.
Yeah, I'm just saying, this show is freaking phenomenal.
Thank you.
It's just like, oh, you got it. Oh, just keep doing it.
Thank you, Jesse.
And I hope you keep calling.
Appreciate it.
Jesse.
Hope you enjoy the rest of your weekend. Take care.
Thank you. You too. So long.
Thanks. Bye-bye. Well, I'd say another good show has been chalked up in the history books.
Yay!
Just a reminder, we will be taking next Sunday off because I'll be in Phoenix. We'll resume the following Sunday, which is 11 a.m. Central Standard Time,
which will be December the 13th.
Yes. So you get a little break from us, but we'll be back. And also, I want to thank our patrons, Kenneth Leonard and where did it go? Expresso Cat. You both are awesome. If you like what we're doing, consider showing your support for as little as $1 a month by clicking the Patreon link in the description. Also, dude, I looked at something like shortly before we went live. I am like so close to YouTube monetization on my other channel. I am only like 61 watch hours away to be.
Oh my God.
And then like 200 subscribers. So dude,
that's awesome.
If you can, please go to my other channel and subscribe, because I'm so close. I can feel it. And
don't only subscribe, share.
Yes, share and subscribe, because I really want, I would love to be able to monetize before the end of the year. That would be cool. So if you can do me the tremendous favor of going to my channel, not only subscribing, but taking it and sharing it to maybe your Facebook or Twitter, and ask your friends to subscribe, because that would help me out a lot and I would greatly appreciate it.
Yeah.
Anyways, Jenna, what do you got going on this week? I know you got AXP tonight with Anthony Magnabosco on the Atheist Experience, which begins at 4:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. What else?
Yes. And then we're going to keep going with the 10 a.m. meditations, where I'm going to be doing 15-minute meditations now, starting at 10 o'clock on the dot, going for 15 minutes. And I'll be doing a little bit of guiding through that. Maybe I'll do some yoga, maybe not this week, but maybe next week. But either way, we'll be meditating every morning, Monday through Friday. Then I'm also going to pick back up on releasing my Atheostasis videos again. So I'll be releasing that to Patreon on Tuesday, and then making it a live premiere on Wednesday at 4 p.m. on Wednesday. And then I'm doing carrot noises at 3:30 Central for 2 hours on Twitch at 3:30 for 2 hours, where I'm live streaming painting. And I actually might throw in there an extra carrot noises sometime this week while I crochet my baby blanket, if we've got some time. Let's see what else. That's all I can think of right now. But before we go to, just while this is on my mind really quick, I'm thinking, what if we just have people give us quotes? Because what I'm liking is that people seem to have some really good ideas for like sign-offs. And what if we don't narrow it down to just one? What if we just pick a favorite quote
For each week?
Yeah, like
That's actually a really good idea too.
because we're not consistent people anyway.
No. Not. I mean, we're consistently here every Sunday.
But we'll forget what it is. We'll forget what the sign off is every week. So what if we just
We will. I mean, most of the time we don't even have like a show topic till 2 days
Right.
beforehand either.
But it's working. I mean, we get some creative stuff, so we'll just share what we got when we got it. How about that?
I mean, I think one of the funniest parts is when you and I started the show, Jenna, we didn't actually know what the show was going to be about. We're just like, let's just do a show.
Let's have a call-in show.
It's been so fun. Like we pretty much found out the show we were doing or going to do as we were doing it, which is really cool.
Yeah.
So this Tuesday, Dave Warnock is going to be my co-host on The Perspective, which is at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time on my other channel, where people call in. They'll talk about their belief in aliens, conspiracy theories, or the supernatural. This past week, Jenna got to speak with someone who believed they were abducted by aliens. That was a rather interesting conversation, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we get some great calls. And then Thursday, I host with Hannah Vaughn the Pickup Line at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. And we will have Dr. Daryl Ray on as our special guest. So looking forward to both of those shows. But I guess now it's time for our sign off. So do I say the second one and then you say the first one? Or what do you want to do?
I'll say the one that you don't say.
Okay. Oh yeah, make sure you like, subscribe, and turn the notification bell on so you get notified every time we go live. And remember, perfect is boring. Being a human being is relatable and lovable.
And you're not alone. This will get better.
Have a good day, everyone.
Thanks, y'all.